What's up, everybody? Welcome to System Crappers Live. I'm David Wilson, and we're back again with another Friday stream where I apologize for not having a screen stream the previous week, and this week is no exception. I promise that this time I actually have a topic to talk about, and it's not just going to be me desperately grasping for things to make sound interesting for 2 hours. Well, let's be accurate about that. 2 hours and what is that? 43 minutes. Oh no. Why are we saying oh no, alternate ved? What happened? What happened? What happened? Let me see what's happening here in the chat. Okay. 2.14. What does that mean? Okay, so yes, sorry I wasn't here last week. I had like a big demo I had to give. Not a big demo. It was actually not very big of a demo, but I had to finish some things for it at work last week. So I hate Guile. Give me a break at HK. Don't start that stuff. I had some things I had to do last week or this week. Last week to prepare for this week. But now it's done. Okay, so I can pretend to be a YouTuber again for a day. Let me check the YouTube chat. Yes, as always, I'm basically coming in hot here. You know, like you basically catch me right at the edge of being screamed at by a 2.5-year-old right before I walk upstairs to do the stream. So, alternative, it says pretend in quotation marks. I am pretending. I mean, yes, I've been doing live streams for 5 years now and videos for 5 years now, but I'm still pretending to be a YouTuber. I'm not really a YouTuber. I'm just a person who likes to sit in front of a camera and talk to myself in a room. And then people happen to watch. Treve says fashionably late. Are you speaking about yourself, probably? Because I'm not late. I'm on time for System Crappers time. System Crappers time is always late. Okay. Pretty much YouTuber definition. No, I consider YouTuber something like, you know, Mr. Beast. Somebody who actually has business acumen and knows how to draw an audience. You know, people who happen to see his mug on the thumbnails. Anyway, let me say hello to the people I see so far in the chat. There may be people from before. Let me actually scroll up a little bit here. So hello to Luis, to Auntie, to Cal, Peter, Arnaud, Einar. Let's see, Edge Crusher, Night HK. Who else am I seeing here? Dave. Nice to see you, Dave. I see Christine also. Nice to see you, Christine. Alternate Ved. J. Fred. Erky. Elephant Ergo. Mr. Treve. Christine says, Mr. Beast, business acumen, has an audience and is obviously just the nicest, best, not harmful person. Yes. I don't really know anything about the man himself. Well, I know there's drama, but like, I'm just, the first thing that came to mind when I thought YouTuber was Mr. Beast. So that's the reason why the name came out of my mouth. Okay. Let's see. Anybody else? Gun. Nice to see a gun. On the YouTube side, I see Nebunez. Nice to see you, Nebunez. And I see Cal over on the YouTube side too. Not PewDiePie. PewDiePie is pretty spicy too, though, right? I mean, which large YouTuber can you name that doesn't have some kind of drama that they are trying desperately to pretend never happened? All right. So, what else is going on in the world right now? Well, let's just focus. Let's narrow the focus of the sphere of the world that I'm referring to the things that are relevant to the people who watch this channel. Altervest says, I'm waiting for some David Will drama and juicy apology video. What would I have to apologize for, really, aside from being late for live streams and like not having live streams half the time? Because I live a very boring life. I just sit in this room. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. Christine says, David Wilson is going to start pulling up dangerous stunts where people need to either package something in geeks or get crushed by 1 million pennies. Well, I think that people might choose the pennies. Would they not choose the pennies when they see what they have to do to package something for geeks? Maybe some drama with other YouTubers. Yeah, I'm going to start some drama. What is the most like random YouTuber I could start drama with, though? Somebody who's just completely not related to this channel whatsoever. Maybe a baking channel. Should I start drama with a baking channel? And see how that goes. What can we do to start drama with a baking channel, though? Start drama with Prot? I don't want to start drama with Prot, okay? Let's leave Prot alone. I think I should start drama with a baking channel. You know, if anybody's got an idea for how I can criticize someone's baking ability when I have zero knowledge whatsoever of how to bake. Pizza Torque is an Emacs person, okay? I'm not gonna, I mean, just because he has pizza in the name doesn't mean that he's a baking channel. Lock-picking lawyer. Well, I don't think I want to mess with a lawyer, okay? Especially one who could pick locks, because he does his own discovery. You just go break into your house and find all your secret documents, like all my scribbles about how I want to configure my system or something. I don't know. Brick spaghetti and send to an Italian chef channel. That would be pretty bad, I think. I think that a lot of people get in trouble when they talk about breaking spaghetti, but let me tell you a little secret. When I make spaghetti, I break the shit, okay? Because it doesn't fit in the pot. You're not going to convince me to do otherwise. It's too long. Uncle Roger, who's that? I'm not going to start drama with DistroTube either. He has too big of an audience. And what drama would there be there anyway? He uses Emacs. Let's ridicule their hobby. Who would read books nowadays? Yeah, I know, right? Some channel about reading books. Spaghetti's too long. All right, that's a spicy take for this week. Spaghetti's too long. You got to break it in half to fit in the pot. Even if you have a tall pot, spaghetti's too long, okay? That's the kind of deep insights that you can expect to have from this channel whenever I've prepared zero for anything this week. All right, let me get the show notes started. It fits in the pot when you boil it, but it's like half, okay. It's half boiled before it gets to that point, right? So don't you have an unevenly boiled noodle whenever you let it boil down to the point where it fits into the pot? Doesn't that make sense? Am I being crazy? I don't know. Let me move over to the other screen here. Where's my mouse? Here it is. Okay, so let's go in here and find, what was the last one that I did here? Is it October 10th? I think so. What? New file. Did I not check that in? Oh. Yes, because it's 2026. That was wrong. Anyway, October 24th, right? Is that the day? 2025? We're not in 2026 yet. Davey504 has a thing with spaghetti. Davey504 has a thing with YouTube giving him trouble, so I'm not going to bother with him. Christine says, Farfalle is obviously the best because you can wear it as a bow tie and a pinch, and it's also nice and chewy. It's good. I'll probably upset somebody by saying that too. What's new in Guile Hoot? That's the day. 24th. I'm not touch typing very well on the number row in this keyboard, so sue me. But not you, lockpicking lawyer. Okay. Donate to geeks. Yes. So I'm going to put a new news item in here, which is quite interesting. which is Guile repos have moved to Codeberg. But let me do this in an order that actually makes sense. Yay! November's almost here. What does that mean, though? I guess it just means November's almost here. Maybe it doesn't mean much to people outside of the United States, but it means Thanksgiving in general. That's kind of nice, I guess. Just to eat a lot of food. That'll happen for me in about a month. And then I'll regret it. Elephant Ergo says, trust me, I'm Italian. Are you Italian? I'm sorry if I offended you with my my pasta. With my pasta ramblings. Hey, Daphne. Okay. Emacs 2020. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Emacs 2025 is getting close. Emacs Conf 2025. Okay, it's in about a month, a little over a month, but sure. We should remind people of that. Come on, keys. Typing Guile. All right. We need the Guile logo up on here. Stat. You have to watch the magic in progress here. Me editing an org mode file. Thank you, Elephant Ergo. I appreciate you could forgive me for my blasphemy against pasta. Ah, very nice, Daphne. Thank you. Let's see. r7rs.org/sc. So who's gonna try to do a write-in campaign to make me Emperor of Scheme? Can we do that? Can you make me Emperor of Scheme? I'm not serious, but if I could put Emperor of Scheme on my resume, that'd be pretty nice, actually. I think that might help me get some jobs that don't require writing Scheme at all. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll actually make me a pariah in the software development world. I don't know. Anyway, Emperor, yes. I mean, come on. Why not? Why not? Okay, first of all, Geeks is having a fundraising campaign. If you like to use Geeks, or if you think that Geeks is interesting and you just can't stomach actually using it on a daily basis, but you want to make sure that it continues to survive, please consider donating to keep the project going, because they have a lot of costs in terms of, you know, the fundamental infrastructure for delivering things like binary packages, or building the binary packages, or, you know, doing all the necessary things for facilitating the entire project. So if you are a Geeks enthusiast, or you just care about supporting good projects, then consider donating to the Geeks project. There's a link in the show notes. Also, if you just go to geeks.gnu.org, then you'll see that there's a link at the top for donation. Probably a good thing to do one of the monthly donation things through the Geeks Foundation, because the money goes straight to the people who are basically the organizers of the project. You can also donate through the FSF. That money does get to the project, but there's like another hop that it has to go through, basically. So I don't know. I think it's probably easier for the project if you go through the Geeks Foundation. That's at least the what I think is the case. But yes, definitely consider donating to the Geeks project to help keep that alive, because if nothing else, I need to use it. So please pay so that I can get binary packages whenever I try to update my system once every 3 months, right before the stream, like I did today, and not fully succeed. Let's see. Oh, and Christine has a link to the latest Sprightly Goblins. Yes. I think we talked about that actually whenever the release came out. And I think I did show the video at the beginning, right? Anyway, next, the Guile repos have actually just been moved to Codeberg, which is pretty exciting in my opinion, as a person who uses Guile. Give me 1 second. I need to go and grab the YouTube code for this stream. So this literally just happened. I was seeing emails about it today. But if you go to codeberg.org/Guile, the main Guile project repository, plus the repos for Fibers and the Lightning JIT compiler, have been moved here. I think some other repositories will end up here in the very near future, just sort of the more fundamental ones for the Guile ecosystem. Oh, I didn't show that release. Apparently, there have been more releases than streams that have been happening recently, so maybe I did miss that one. Okay, let me put that in the list then. Brightly.institute. We're going to have a couple of things here. Okay, probably didn't. I heard about this one, but I probably didn't mention it. In fact, it's on the 16th, and my last stream was on the 10th, so obviously I could not have covered that. Yes, that's right, Dave. Thanks for keeping me honest. So check out the Guile repo here. It's nice that it's here instead of, where was Guile before? Was it on Savannah? The same as the other GNU projects? I like that more projects are moving over to Codeberg just because it's easier to collaborate on things there. I like Codeberg better than GitHub or GitLab for these types of projects. Even though there is some instability with the Codeberg services, I hope that's getting better over time. I haven't really noticed anything lately. Greg says, I've been donating $10 every time David Will says, I have a job now, so I don't really use Geeks anymore. I literally use Geeks every day, but not for my job. I wish I could. I wish I could, but I have to use a MacBook, so that prevents me from using Geeks for the job side of things. But for my, you know, personal life, whatever that amounts to these days, Geeks is a thing. I just never update it anymore. So that's that. Christine says, it's not Codeberg's fault that they're based on an iceberg and the world is global warming. Well, that's a good point, actually. You know, I didn't really think about the fact that maybe, you know, their server rooms are flooding because the iceberg is melting and the polar bears can't, you know, flush out all the water with buckets fast enough. I don't know that that's what's actually happening, but, you know, that's the inspiration that I got from what Christine said. So that's how we're going with it. Next, as you saw already, because you were a part of this, Emacs 2025 is coming in December, okay? The people who are gonna be talking have probably already been notified, haven't they? Is there a schedule yet? Daphne says, main instability is the Pages service. We're gonna deploy a new server software in a couple of weeks, which should make things better. You say it as if you were helping them. Are you helping Codeberg? Unfortunately, you'll have to opt in to the new, more reliable Pages because it works completely differently behind the scenes and some bad decisions in the current system. Yeah, that's cool though, because Pages, the instability of Pages is one of the reasons why I moved systemcrackers.net off of Pages. But I was using it before then. I don't see a schedule, so it must not be ready yet. Jayford says, oh, you're on the Presidium of Codeberg. Nice, that's awesome. I like Codeberg. I mean, like I said, it's the best option for, you know, this kind of project because, you know, obviously it's using Forgeo. The deadline of video submission to Emacs Conf is on the 31st. So on Halloween, the most lucky day of the year, you get to upload your video for your Emacs Conf talk. Thank you, Cal, for the reminder on that. All right, so that's happening December 6th and 7th, online conference. Definitely check it out. The Autumn Lisp Game Jam is starting next week. Is that Friday calendar? That is next Friday. So the 31st, Autumn Lisp Game Jam is starting. Obviously, since this says Lisp in the name, probably you would use a Lisp language of some sort to write a game for this. So maybe after today, if I don't completely bungle the demonstration, you might be interested in using Guile Hoot for the purpose of making a game, because it's always better whenever the game that you make can be played in a browser so that other people can play it easily, because otherwise they're gonna have to install Guile and all kinds of other stuff just to get your game to run, and it's not so likely this is gonna happen. So if you wanna make a game for the Lisp Game Jam that's coming up next week, I do recommend using Guile Hoot, which we'll talk about today, so that you can make a browser-based game in Scheme. And maybe the experience will be even better this time than it was the last few times that we did that. Dave says, why not use Hoot? Many are asking this. Well, I'm sure that it's all the buzz on the main major social media websites, right? Let's go to the community page because apparently there's a post here. Hoot example project, right? So if you want to actually learn or have a simple, straightforward starting point for, getting a Hoot project off the ground for the Game Jam. Dave has made a template repository on Codeberg, which has been around for a while, and I think he keeps updating it every time there's a new release. As we see here, 2 days ago. Wait, what? Yes, remove unnecessary import manifest.scm. I haven't used Hoot in how long has it been since I did Lambda Dungeon? However long ago that was. So we'll see how things are different now than they were before. But there is like a simple breakout clone in this repo. It has everything you need just to get started up with drawing to an HTML5 canvas. So it's perfect for getting started in a game jam if you want to make a graphical game in the browser with Scheme. So check out this post here. I'll link this also in the show notes so that you can try that out. So get started quickly with Guile Hoot using this, the instructions here. All right. So yes, I don't know if I'll be able to participate in that because things are going on that prevent me from spending a lot of time on things outside of the scope of what I have to do during the day. But I would like to see people working on it, and I would like to be involved somehow. So if people in the System Crafters IRC want to work on a game, I'll certainly be there to cheer you on and to commiserate with you whenever things don't go so well. Airkey says, worth noting, Zenodium, is that, is it Alvaro, is his name? YouTube.com/Zenodium. Yeah, I think it's Alvaro. So he's made a new YouTube series on Emacs called Bending Emacs. I've seen this floating around on Reddit, I think. So maybe you want to check out his YouTube channel since somebody else you know has not been posting Emacs videos in probably a year. Okay, check out. This is the most news I've had in like probably a year or more. Excellent. Thank you all for the suggestions. I really appreciate it. All right. Yes, but let's get back to the other one, though, that's important that I think, which is me being the Emperor of Scheme. There is a Scheme Steering Committee election for 25-26. If you are interested in the future of the Scheme programming language and you would like to be in the committee of people who have the thankless job of trying to wrangle all the things that people want to do with the Scheme into a coherent set of specifications, then please consider putting your name in the hat for the election for the committee so that you can do that. Because I think it's always been kind of a good time. I mean, I've never been on the Scheme steering committee, but I've heard stories. Do I mean the czar of Scheme? No, not the czar of Scheme. I don't know how I would be a czar. I know how I'd be an emperor. I would just say, hurry up. I don't know. Is that what emperors say? I don't know how you're going to do it. Just do it. That's what you say. Anyway, why is a new steering committee election being held? The outgoing steering committee was elected in 2009. Wow. And successfully oversaw the production of R7RS Small until 2013. During the protracted initial development of R7RS Large, it fell dormant. Yeah, because that was not a very easy task, I think. And kudos to Daphne for trying to take on the mantle of pushing this thing forward after, basically it's stalling for so long. Not an easy thing to pick up like a full language specification and continue pushing it forward. But what Daphne's trying to do. The Uber Puma of Scheme, I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Doesn't sound good. I don't think I want to call myself that. Maybe I'll just call myself the Scheme salesman, because I'm probably the only one on YouTube telling people to use Scheme. Am I? Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Current Scheme working group resolved in 2025 to ask the steering committee for a new election because it felt that after such long dormancy, the outgoing steering committee was no longer able as a group to make and implement decisions effectively. Well, if they're not really like that engaged anymore, then how are they going to make any decisions? All right, so working group has appointed Daniel Gruno as independent overseer of the election. There will be a secret ballot. Hey, RetroPixel. Let's see. Anybody who has a stake in the scheme standards process may participate in the vote. In order to register, a potential voter must supply a statement of interest declaring what their stake is in the scheme standardization process. Well, mine is I have to use it because my computer kind of depends on it. Is that enough? I use Geeks. Okay. Anyway, the result, exceptional cases. Anyway, okay. I'm just joking about being the emperor of scheme, okay? It's funny to say it. I don't really mean it. I hope that they are able to find a good set of people on the steering committee to help push the language forward because I like Scheme. It's good language, you know? It's one of the most fun languages I've used. So let's help it grow. Put your name in the hat. That's a bad phrase, I guess, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Scheme rules, says RetroPixel. Yes, it does. I saw that you got your site added to Planet Scheme, RetroPixel. Yes, I see everything, even though I'm not around. Okay, so today, what's new in Guile Hoot, if I spell it correctly? For those of you who haven't seen me talk about it multiple times in this channel over the last couple of years, Guile Hoot is a scheme to WebAssembly compiler that is entirely developed by the Sprightly Institute, mainly Andy Wingo and some of the other folks at the Sprightly Institute. And it is quite successful in being a really good quality compiler for, you know, what Guile Scheme basically supports as a language, mostly like R7RS, R6RS compatible scheme, and Guile modules, but compiling that into code that can run in the browser via WebAssembly, which is very exciting because it means you can write web applications and games and anything else that you would write in a browser or in, well, theoretically in a runtime like Node.js. I guess that they can run it in Node.js, right? Anyway, point being, you can make web-based applications in Scheme today, and we're gonna look at the latest improvements in the new release of Guile Hoot, which just came out, which many of them are meant to be quality of life improvements for developers, so it might actually make your experience a lot better, especially if you tried it in the past and it wasn't as easy to get started. It says this release is admittedly quite small, but it sands some rough edges. Well, that's kind of one of the more important kinds of releases, though, because with something like this that's been, you know, lots of fundamental work being done for so long, you know, trying to flesh out the capabilities of the compiler and the code that it generates, kind of need to focus on the dev, almost the dev aspect. You have to focus on the development experience at some point, and that's good that there is a release that's focused on that. So let's look at Sprightly Institute and the news. I didn't actually talk about Sprightly Goblins, did I? I should go back and do that, but maybe I'll do that a little bit later. So let me copy this. Copy link. Was that 0170? I swear I can't touch type. This keyboard is great, but I can't read the keys because the numbers and letters are black on top of gray keys. So, you know, I guess I should just get used to that, right? All right, so Hoot 070. I think the last one that I used was probably 050. Okay. We're excited to announce the release of Hoot 070. It's a Scheme to WebAssembly compiler backend for Guile, as well as a general-purpose WebAssembly tool chain. In other words, Scheme in the browser. Let's see. Just in time for the upcoming Lisp Game Jam. Halloween Jam. Yeah, that'd be pretty fun, actually, though. Like, to have a jam that starts on Halloween, be kind of Halloween-themed. Peter says, learn blind typing already. Cover your hands with a towel. See, like, I can type blind just fine with the letters, but not with a number row. Probably wouldn't take much effort to do that. Yes. But cover your hands with a towel. Doesn't sound good. For those who are familiar, the Lisp Game Jam is a casual 10-day event where participants build small games using the Lisp implementation of their choice. We encourage you to join the jam and make a game with Hoot. Browser games are both easy to distribute. Yes. And you can also put them on itch.io, which makes it pretty easy. The games that I developed for the last couple of game jams I participated in that had a web-based game were done with Hoot and were put on the web on itch, which worked pretty well. In fact, I think that Dave had linked to those for one of them. Yeah, Lambda Dungeon. So you can go see one of the games that I did a while back. Let's see. Does it still run? Okay, cool. So it still runs. Good. Yeah, my fake little language that I was working on at that time. That was fun. That was a fun little game to work on. But let's see. Back to the point. So there's a template repository you can use, as we saw. Okay, new features. Added Guile's source code module directly to Hoot's directory to Hoot's load path by default. Now easy to import any module from Guile that Hoot does not override in its core implementation, which sounds like any pure Guile module, including all the surfies, and any of the other utility modules that don't contain native C code now can be pulled in to Hoot programs. So it's more of a faithful implementation of Guile, which could make it a lot easier. Are there any like specific libraries that now make it a lot easier to use Hoot and write code that works across Hoot and the main Guile implementation, like the match library or things like that? Has match been the same code for a while now, or is it still a different implementation? Or am I remembering that incorrectly? Let's see. Of course, any Guile module that relies on a C extension or as of yet unsupported Guile procedure macro will not work with Hoot. Contributors are wanted to help maximize our Guile compatibility. Remove the stub Surfy1 module, which is a pretty important Surfy, is all the list handling procedures, in favor of loading it from Guile's source module directory. Guile now has a pure scheme implementation of Surfy1. No more C. That sounds new. Yeah, match has been there. I just didn't know if it was like a separate implementation or if it's the same original code. Yes, Hoot has its own slightly modified ICE9 match. That's what I figured. Daphne says that extensible match now works on Guile, by the way. Probably not on Hoot, though. Yeah, extensible match looked really cool. Codeberg extensible match. I haven't actually tried it yet, but this is a cool thing. Basically, a matched library, a pattern matching library that can be extended with new patterns using macros. It's pretty sweet. Go check that out. All right. So, Hoot modules can now be loaded from JavaScript typed arrays and array buffer objects in methods such as scheme.loadMain in reflect.js. So, my guess is that this means that now you can finally have shared libraries for code across projects that doesn't have to be recompiled every time. Like you could have a binary file that you load in for code you want to share between projects, and then it gets pulled in as a callable module. Is that right, Dave? Being able to load modules from JavaScript typed arrays. Dave says, in previous releases, users would have to manually do guild compile wasm and add the modules path to the load path they wanted to use stuff in Guile, which is inconvenient. So this is basically just adding it by default, but it may have already been working previously, I'm guessing. Top level programs must now start with a use modules or import form. The implicit import of scheme base caused some confusion for users. Then the convenience is worth, yeah. Oh, it's not really for sharing. That's interesting. What's it for? Yeah, anytime you implicitly import modules, I think that people get confused about where things come from. And also, I guess, like, if you want to have a pure environment to start with, it's kind of sandbox. You don't want to necessarily pull in scheme base to start with, but I don't know. The JS buffer stuff just makes it possible to boot programs that you don't fetch from a URL, which WebAssembly JS interface already supports, but we didn't expose. To boot, so you basically have it like an array directly in the JavaScript or something. You can now embed the WASM binary directly in HTML by base64 encoding it. Okay. I guess there could be use cases for that. All right. You decode the text and then instantiate. Yeah. The import form in a top-level program is interpreted using R7RS syntax rules, whereas previously it used R6RS syntax rules. I guess that's important because if you want to have, like, you know, real standard R7RS support, you need to make sure that you're following the latest standard rules. Surfy library names such as Surfy:1. I didn't know this actually worked. This actually would have saved me a little bit of typing. Not so much typing that I would have, like, you know, been upset to not be able to do that anymore, but it seems like you are able to do that now. So you can use Surfy:1 are now canonicalized as Surfy:1 and R6RS library forms to match Guile. Okay, cool. Added support for integer components in R7RS defined library names. For example, defined library Surfy:1. Oh, okay. So just like straight up numbers as a part of the module path. That does make it a bit clearer and cleaner. Peter says, so you can deploy an app just by having an index.html. That's what it sounds like. Got it. All right, added support for renamer and define module. Is that like a procedure that can rename symbols? What is that? Added filter, reverse, and width fluids procedures to Guile. That must be for code compatibility somewhere. Printer for record type descriptors. That's useful. Interesting that it wasn't there before. Maybe there's some other stuff that had to be done to make that possible. Documented Hoot load path environment variable. Okay, performance improvements, fixed or added optimized implementation of min and max. Okay. Bug fixes. Explicitly set file permissions for the reflection library files copied by Guile compile WASM. Files read only. Got it. Okay. Renamer takes a procedure which is pretty wild when you think about it. Yes, just make, you know, whatever weird random symbol names you want for things that get exported from the module. That sounds like fun. Fix define record type to raise a syntax error when an invalid field is specified as a constructor argument. Okay. Fix R6RS rename syntax rules in library export forms is probably important. Just looking. Fix compilation of unquote splicing in non-tail position. Okay, that probably was a problem for someone somewhere. Dave says because then define module is no longer declarative but procedural, so you have to eval to figure out what the heck imported names are. That's not good. Yeah, that's not good. Not good for static analysis if you think that it's possible, I guess, to do static analysis in scheme programs. Not if you have a renamer procedure. Let's see. Fix string trim in the case where the result should be an empty string. Simple format returns the unspecified value. Fix select instruction handling in WASM toolchain. Okay. Browser compatibility. This is a big one. Compatible with Safari 26. At long last, Hoot modules now work reliably in Safari and other sufficiently fresh WebKit-based browsers. Dave says, for unquote splicing, this wasn't working. Yeah, that looks like it should work, shouldn't it? Somebody probably was like scratching their head about why that code was not working because it so obviously should be working. So yes, finally having compatibility with Safari. How many times did we think that we had compatibility with Safari and then other bugs just cropped up at some point? Dave says, Andy fixed the select WASM op for use with his WASM to C compiler. Huh, that's cool. Compatible with Firefox 121 or later, compatible with Chrome 119 or later, which I guess is pretty... What Firefox am I on right now? I'm on 130, so yeah. Far enough along. All right, so you can get Guile Hoot by using Geeks, obviously. I mean, if you want to use some other means to install Guile Hoot, go for it. I don't know that it's going to be as smooth as using Geeks, but you know, that's the way it is. If you use Geeks install Guile Next and Guile Hoot, then you would have access to that. I personally don't like using Geeks install. I'd rather just use Geeks shell, but I guess this is the easiest way to tell someone how to get it on their system so they can use it in the terminal. Dave says, yeah, we thought we were good with Safari 18, but their WASM validator had a bug in the tail call instruction validation. Yeah, you kind of need that for Scheme. Pretty important. Let's see. You can build it from source using the release tarball. Cool. Great. And thanks to the supporters for the Sprightly Institute who have been supporting the development by becoming a Sprightly supporter. I mean, much like with what I mentioned before about the Geeks Project, the Sprightly Institute also needs donations to continue doing all the great work they're doing for the Scheme ecosystem. So consider also donating to Sprightly at one of the tiers that they have here on their site, because they have really cool graphics and art, Christine. Let's see. Who do I recognize here? I see Danny O'Brien. I see Glenn. I see J. Fred. Who am I missing here? Who else do I see here? I see Sebastian. Probably some other names that I know the nicknames for, but I don't know the real names for. Okay, so that's the release notes. It sounds, like Dave said, pretty straightforward. But why not just try to like start up a little Hoot application here? Now, I tried to run Geeks Poll before I started the stream, okay? And the system didn't get updated, but Geeks Poll finished. So I think I have access to Hoot 070. I think it will work. So we'll see if this is if this is successful or not. And if it's not, I blame Geeks and not me, because I was totally prepared, you know. I started only about 2 hours before the stream, which is a pretty big deal for me. So we'll just see how it goes. Let's go into the shell. I'm going to use a vterm, I think. Or let's say even an eat. Let's try it with eat. Geeks shell, Guile next, Guile Hoot. I'm pretty sure this should just go through because I've already tried it once. So, how would I know that Hoot is in here? Hey. All right, I'm having trouble with my key bindings, obviously. There we go. Yes, J. Fred, the Geeks Poll right before the stream is risky, always risky. Dave says, now to watch David will find all the things that still don't work. That assumes that I get anything to work because of my own problems. Let's see, Geeks Search, Guile Hoot. Let's just see, does it say that I have the right version? Yeah, 07. Okay, good. At least that is here. I did manage to get it ready, okay? I did manage to get it ready to where we should be able to do this. Also, let me grab that repo. The Game Jam template repository. Did I just click that? Okay, cool. I probably have this cloned already somewhere, and I could probably just pop back in and just update it. Code, what's it called? Hoot Game Jam. Okay, I don't have it. Cool. All right, let's try that. PD Hoot Game Jam template. What? Why does it do tab completion now? That's strange. Okay. Anyway, I feel like an old man looking at the screen. So, tutorial, Geek Shell. Let me just get out of the Geek Shell I'm currently in. All right. Say what? Jame template. It's going great, people. It's going great. I need some more jeering in the audience here just to keep my spirits high, you know? Just to know that you haven't all fallen asleep here. Just make sure that you're making fun of me. Let's go. Okay, so Geeks Shell. It's probably going to ask me to confirm. Not loading because I'm not authorized. Sure, whatever, buddy. Geeks Shell. Is this a manifest or a geeks.scm? It's a manifest. So geek shell m manifest.scm. Let's see what we got here. So we're gonna run make and make serve. Thank you for buffing my spirits. So make. Let's just see what goes on here. I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. It's geeks after all. If it installed, then it should be okay. Make serve. All right, 8088. Localhost 8088. All right, we got our little breakout clone. Let me, can I move? Which keys do I have to use for this? The arrow keys? Okay, arrow keys like a, like a normal human being, not the WSAD or HJKL. I don't know if you can hear the sounds, but it is playing sounds right now. Okay, there we go. So it is working. This is Hoot 070 compiling a breakout clone to the browser. This code that Dave already wrote, so we don't have to pretend that I wrote this. That's great. So, cool. You want to just watch me play Breakout the rest of the time? Seem like a good idea? I don't think so. Okay. Let's take a look at what's in there, because I think we've looked at this before, but it won't hurt to also check it out again. I'm going to pull up the actual folder. There we go. Open. Dear Ed, thank you. Quaup. Quaup? Is that the... I don't know which keys that is, Cal. That sounds pretty hardcore. So, let's go check out first. Obviously, game.scm is going to be pretty straightforward. We start off with a use modules invocation. Delaney says, yo, when are we going to start? You mean for using Datastar for the game jam? I don't know if I'll be able to do the game jam. It'd be cool, though. Dave says, Breakout doesn't implement the bounce vector changes correctly because it was good enough for the template repo. Yes, well, you don't want to get into doing, like, advanced calculus. No, it doesn't require calculus. You don't want to get into doing advanced calculus just to make a template repository, right? All right, so we got all the DOM libraries here that are probably part of this repository, right? How dare you? I'm sorry, Delaney. I don't know, man. I just got a little bit busy going on with things. It's fine. It's fine. Yes, it's what I say all the time, right, Cal? That is the acceptance of defeat. Modules. DOM. All right, there we go. So, DOM window. Has anything changed with FFI? It doesn't sound like it based on what is in the release notes. So we're defining DOM window, we're using the Hoot FFI module, and then we're defining foreign current window, window get, and this is a ref to an extern. Okay, cool. So it's basically the same pattern that was being used before. It would be nice eventually to have these things, be separately installable libraries, like have a standard Hoot DOM library that could be installed somehow and pulled in. Probably there's some way to do that already. It's just that I haven't seen it. Peter says that's the motto of Geeks users. No, that's the motto of me, because I'm okay just accepting things being crappy and getting on with my day. It's fine. It's fine. Maybe in 2 more years. Maybe, Delaney. Maybe. All right. So let's see. Back to game.scm. All right, so it's the same stuff. We got record type definitions. I don't know if I ever got to use record type definitions. Did I do that in Lambda Dungeon? Lambda Dungeon. Define record type. Did I use record types? Yes, I did. Wait, no. That's the, what? Why did it pull? Oh, I had that as a subdirectory. Okay, so yeah, I did have record types, apparently. Cool. Man, I have not looked at this code since the game jam ended. This is probably going to be horrible. I guess the question is, if I try to run Lambda Dungeon now, does it still work? That's a good test, isn't it? Because I probably... Guile Hoot. Did I have a channel file here? No. All right. We could try that. So if I were to run metax shell and then geeks shell m manifest.scm, Do I have a make file? It's the same stuff. Oh, make clean. All right, cool. I can do that first. All right, make clean, make. Aha. PK is imported from both some library name, Hoot debug, and also the Guile library. Let's see. Unbound top level. So is that expected? Do I need to change an import? Oh, is this because scheme base is not imported by default anymore? Let me check what's in the game jam template right here. So scheme base, I don't see it here. Does PK get used here? No, PK is not used in this project. Not at all. Oh. Can't pull into a REPL to search for the PK symbol, I think. Well, let me just see if I can take that out. Which file was it in? That's the question. All right, Lambda Dungeon entity. So, modules, Lambda Dungeon entity PK. All right, PK error. Let's see. What am I not importing? I'm actually importing scheme base, but it said in the release notes, scheme base is something you'd import in a standard scheme program, but when you're using Guile's define module, use modules, there's an implicit Guile import. So maybe should I not do that? Let me take scheme base out. Try that again. Unbound variable define record type. So that did make progress. Oh, really? No, it didn't. Something different though. Define unbound variable define record type this time. Player killer. Yes. We're back in Quake 3 days now. We're going back to Quake 3 terminology. So PK imported from both. It's still the entity module too. So it's the same place that it was complaining before. Import Surfy 9. Let's see. Should I just do that as a use module though? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Module not found, Surfy 9. Is it using the right stuff to build here? I wonder if I'm still using the older version. In the shell, how can I figure out which version of Hoot that I'm using? You can also remove Hoot debug. That's where the duplicate import comes from. Oh, really? Ah. Let's see. Which file is it complaining about this time? Something different. It's not valid in define module syntax. Okay, so still is saying unbound variable define record type. Old expand library group compile. Compile wasm. Where are we? I always forget that Guile stack traces are upside down compared to what everybody else sees. Because, you know, a stack, the newest things are on top. But in Guile, the stack trace goes in chronological order, or in call order, which is a little bit confusing. Do you think that will work? Oh, right, for the use module. Right. Sorry, for the define record type. Use module. Did I just not have that there and it just kind of worked by default? Now it's all coming back to me. You could tell it's been a little while since I wrote scheme because I didn't realize Surfy 9 was the one that had record types in it. Okay, that looks different. Unbound top level current environment. So you're just gonna watch me debug my own code the whole time here. Maybe it's useful though, just to see like the path of trying to upgrade a project that worked before to use the latest Hoot. Hello to Aldous. Aldous says, first time here from Latvia. Found out about you a few weeks ago. Look for an email about Emacs configuration and tuning. Guile is my to-do list. Huge thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, full TS, unbound top level in game.scm current environment. Okay, I'm probably missing a module that is needed for that. So game.scm current environment. Why am I even using current environment? I'm not. 190. There's no line 190. Ah, did I use eval? I might have. Question is, why the hell would I be using eval in this game? Oh, I don't think I used eval. I think I used match everything. But I did it. Look at that. Shit, it's right there. In execute logic, the stack trace did not tell me that I was there. So what am I doing wrong with eval? And obviously current environment, it's not happy with, but is that coming from like a Guile module now and not a Hoot module? But apparently I generated code that now is being evaluated. Maybe that's what's happening. I thought I was just being interpreted. Yeah, that line definitely does not exist. So what changed about eval? And why is Cal telling Trev to pay close attention? I don't see Trev around. Is he supposed to be using Hoot to write a game? He should be paying close attention. Because obviously I'm the world's foremost expert on breaking Hoot compilation. So he might learn a thing or two. There's a runtime module system that wasn't there before, added in a previous release. Well, let's check that out because I probably did not get to that. News. We're going to talk about Hoot 0.6.0. Because I didn't. 0.6.1. Let's see. Older posts. All right, 0.6. That was January, man. Ah, thank you. So, all right, Hoot REPL, module REPL environment. Okay, I'm not a bot. So, exporting REPL environment, current module. Imports Hoot modules and using current module to create a runtime module that could be used as the current environment. Okay, cool. Makes sense. I see. All right. So basically, I just need to import all the symbols that I want and then use the module environment for that. Got it. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense, actually. That makes a lot of sense because it's basically a closure. You know, you've pulled in all the symbols you want into the module, and then you give that as the environment. And maybe, so if I change this to R7RS library syntax, is this going to work? No exports here, but I've got some imports to add now. Also, I want to import these. The R7RS import syntax is so much cleaner than what's in Guile's module syntax, that's for sure. Steal these. Oops. I hate it when I hit Control T before pasting something because then it just like transposes the characters and makes a mess. All right, there we go. Technically, I'm using R6 RS syntax right now. Yes, exactly. But they're interchangeable though, right? All right, so we've got execute logic, and then here we would say current module. Most people wouldn't have this problem because they're not trying to write a game that's using eval. Current, whoa, what? Where am I calling current environment somewhere else? Oh, hell no. Why? Is this right? I feel like this is like a test function. Why am I doing this? Hold up. Was this like for test purposes? I got like the whole code commented out. What did I do? Maybe I was trying to investigate some bug at the very end whenever we were working on the game. Oh boy. So is this a bug version of the code? Is that what's happening? Add, disable, attack logic. Is that where we're at? Is this seriously? Okay, yeah, over a year ago. Okay, maybe this isn't a good example. Maybe this isn't a good example. Oh, right. Okay, this is the Shea style library syntax. I forgot. Requires exports before imports. Thank you, Daphne. Let's see. Anyway, I think that it's not going to work because there's a fundamental problem with the code here. I think I was trying to test out an issue. Maybe this code evaluation thing was new. What I probably should do is go back to an earlier commit and try it there instead. I have no idea what all this code change in here is though. Yeah, the script.scm is new. And then I don't know why that got changed. Entity, probably this is for like running the scripts that are, yeah, look at that. That's some high quality code right there. Okay, so maybe what I should do then, just to see if this is gonna work, I should go and clone Lambda Dungeon again. Was that on my personal Codeberg? Looks like it. Okay, so I'll just reclone this. So we give it, a fair try. And I think we are kind of seeing the changes as we go through this. Just so that I feel better about, trying to build my own code that is not working. Yeah, I know that. So, good Lambda Dungeon. All right, so we'll go back to our Geek Shell make, and we'll see what that does. Hopefully it works. I'm experiencing multiple releases worth of changes. Yeah, okay, so it built that time. So maybe it was just the latest stuff that I was doing that was causing a problem. What was it, serve? Oh, address already in use. Where is the other one? Is that in vterm? Eat? There we go. Get out of here. Get out of here. No, not that one again. Yes. 8088. All right, localhost. Here we go. 8088. Cool. So it looks. Whoa. Hold on. What happened here? What happened? Inspect. Console. Link error. Import object field quit is not a function. What is that? Doesn't tell me where it's from either, so it must be WebAssembly. Link error. Sounds like a compiler thing, right? Import object field quit is not a function. Where did I write that? Wait, hold on. No matches for quit. I didn't call it explicitly. Reflection libs are out of date. Yes, that is very likely. So I just need to delete that JS runtime folder probably. I don't remember if I had something that I had used to set that up automatically. Is it in the make file? Runtime, yeah. Zip game. See you, Luis. Glad to see you. Game.wasm. We'll try it again. You're probably right. Add bundle to your compile wasm invocation. Compile wasm. So just -- bundle. Let's see. Game.wasm is up to date. Remove game.wasm because I don't believe you. And delete JS runtime. Yeah, I deleted that one already. Compilation seems to be taking slightly longer this time. All right, so make serve. All right, 8088. You're probably right, Dave. Scheme is not defined. Probably. So, where would runtime.js be? Reflect.js? I guess it's these files here, huh? I probably need to update my index.html file to pull in the stuff from the right location. Yeah, reflect.js, we're gonna pull it from the root directory now. Anything else? Probably not. Window is not an object. Okay, so it's pulling them in automatically. That's good. It's good that it does that on its own. So, why? Yeah, I didn't like the manual copying part. I'm glad that that's a thing now. So now it doesn't like the FFI invocation for, or at least finding the window object. Import object field window is not an object. Looks like it's trying to import an FFI procedure from a module, probably. Maybe I can expand this here a little bit and see. Game.js 92. 92. Scroll over. Show backtrace. Okay, that's where the throw is. Canvas. Okay, is this the shim? Is this a generated shim? Is this my shim that I wrote by hand? Is that why there's a problem here? Game.wasm. Yeah, game.wasm's in the same folder. I didn't see any complaint there. All right. Yes. I wrote that file, Dave. That's probably why it's broken. I don't know if any of the patterns here have changed over time. Let's go to game.js. So we're loading game.wasm, which is here. Load your, maybe your load main args need to change. Let me check the repository too. Cal says, if windows were real objects, why are they transparent? Why do we have to get philosophical here, Cal? Remove the object arg? Okay, cool. That's kind of cool if we can get rid of that too. Why can't I click on the damn file link? Click. It's thinking. I see it spinning. Here we go. Okay, good. Game Wasm. That explains it. There's nothing there. Okay. We're gonna rerun the compilation. Not really though, is it? Okay, it's probably fine. I'll just reshare the files. It will, oh. How? Is it still running? And where is the tab that I had that was running it? Make B. All right, so it's not running, dude. There we go. Okay, now play the game. Ah, still not there. Console. Import field, object field, Windows on an object. Maybe I don't think I need to rebuild it, Cal. I think that it's that was a JavaScript only change, so I should be able to reload the browser window. Hey, Rudy. Rudy says, I don't know why, but I like the macOS looks very much that I got Ubuntu and Rice it as macOS. Well, sure, that's the thing that you can do. Game.js. I don't know why that didn't work. Let me pull up the other one. So, Hoot, Game Jam template, game.js. I think there's something different here. There's a user import section that I'm missing. So maybe that's what it is right there. So this user imports thing is new, it looks like. All right, we'll pull that in right there. Yes. And the closing curly brace should be wherever the green one is. Yes, that looks like a new one, huh? Arg name change. Imports, user imports. Imports. Yeah, I didn't even have imports to start with. Okay, so should be able to reload that, play the game. Boom, there it is. All right, good. So that was the necessary thing to make it actually work. So now we got Land of Dungeon up. If I hit run, the game is running. So we're on Hoot 070. Yes, I'm ahead. I'm seeing the future, Dave. And luckily I can manage to answer some questions myself and not desperately wait for the 30-second lag for an answer to come through IRC. Yes, the game still works. That's great. You see, maybe I can write code that continues to work over time, even with new versions of compilers. It's not really my fault. It's more the Sprightly Institute's fault for doing good work, but I can take some credit here, you know? Okay, so like, is there anything else that we didn't kind of run into that would be worth seeing? I mean, we know now that we can pull in more of the standard Guile libraries by default just because the load path is already being added in, which means that the pure Guile modules can be compiled into your application. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Only for the latest that I was doing, which is using eval, which obviously is not a good thing. And the code was broken too. So we got the module improvements. Saw a couple things there. There's a few other things that I probably don't even use. I saw some improvements in certain functions that could be useful. The bundle change was pretty useful, like being able to pull those files in automatically without having a separate step. Because I think I had set up my own script for Hoot projects a while back that automatically did the copying of the bundle files, basically. So good to not have to do that anymore. Sorry, just taking a look at something real quick. All right, so So if you were to try to use Hoot for a game jam, if it's the first time that you've used Hoot, what would you need to do? Well, obviously what I did to start with was to clone, we're not going to look at my code for this. We're going to look at the actual Hoot game jam template, okay? So if you clone this repository down, there's a make file that builds the starter project that's in here, okay? The project itself starts from the game.scm file. You can see that it's pulling in a few different modules and it's doing a lot of the game logic already in this file. So you can see how a game with Hoot using HTML5 canvas would be written by running through this file. And it's, you know, this is actual scheme code. You've got match, you've got cond, you've got record types, and you've got foreign function interface procedures that fall into JavaScript DOM and window functions, and also canvas functions. So it's a good example of what you can do with Hoot in a game that draws things to the screen. Also plays sounds, which let's see, play sound, play. Where is it playing the sounds? Media play. Okay, so there's like a media API somewhere. Yeah, DOM media, right? Dave says, I make sure that the template gets updated with each Hoot release so that Game Jam template is the best place to start. Yes. So definitely check out this code if you are interested in getting started with your own game for the jam, because you can basically just rip out the parts that you don't need. I think I did that. When I started working on Lambda Dungeon last year, I think I just basically took this template and pulled all the parts that I wanted and then made my own modules and set the project up the way I wanted and just went with it. And it worked great because obviously I got a game out of it at the end, rendering images and implementing my own custom game logic. It's cool. So anything else interesting in here that I should mention? There is not a way presently to eval code in a REPL while the game is running and have the changes show up in the browser. I think that's one of the things that's still not fully there yet for Hoot. Once that does show up, it will be super, super cool to do like live coded games in the browser. For now, you have to pay for the recompile cycle, which can take a little bit of time because it has to go and recompile the program completely. Like there's no intermediate files, I think. It's just like compiling everything into one big WASM file at the end. So the more modules you import, the longer it takes to compile, especially if they're larger Guile modules. This is something to keep in mind for the quick development loop. It's not that bad though. It was worse in the past because there were inscrutable errors that would show up at times in the console and you couldn't really tell where they were coming from. So you paid a higher cost whenever there were problems because you had to blindly make changes to fix problems that showed up in your code and then pay the cost of recompiling and then reload the page, which was not great, but we've come a long way from there. I think the experience is a lot better. The last time I used it, it was a lot better. I didn't really have that same problem anymore. Dave is pointing out a repo under Sprightly, which is the Hoot FFI demo repo, which is a simpler example of setting up FFI for JavaScript functions, or even to interact with the browser DOM API. So if you want to learn, what is this? You want to learn how to bind scheme procedures to JavaScript functions through the FFI layer of Guile Hoot. This is probably a good repo to take a look at. I'm curious about this SXML module here because it looks like a way to create DOM elements. Is this the one that's like a React style, SXML to DOM? So basically you just give it SXML and it creates the DOM elements. That's kind of awesome, actually. And look how little code it is, 64 lines. Dave says, we'd like to get a geyser working with a browser tab running Hoot. Yeah, it'd be awesome. It would be really awesome. At that point, you know, Guile Hoot can start to compete with things like ClojureScript because you have the ability to live develop an application, whether it's a game or a front-end application. It would make the experience a lot more smooth for interactive development. while we were working on the emaxpackages.com website on the Crafter Hour streams earlier this year, it was quite nice being able to just reeval server handler functions and be able to reload the page and automatically see the changes in play, or even the Datastar backed parts of the user interface, where once you change the handler in the back end and start messing with the UI, it actually gets the newer stuff in the UI, so you don't even have to load the page. So, you know, live evaluation of new code, to see it show up in a live application, is a pretty powerful way to write applications, just because you get to see things really quickly. It's a very fast feedback loop. You can experiment a lot more comfortably. And I quite like it whenever it works, but it currently doesn't work in the browser for Guile. Dave says, it's not a live hacking environment, but a very rudimentary REPL is here. And Peter says, that is the power of those HTMX Datastar approaches. Yeah, I do like that aspect. I think that for writing a web app in Scheme, using something like HTMX or Datastar is really cool, because you get to write all of the logic of the app in Scheme and benefit from the power of SXML to generate the fragments of HTML that get sent back to the client. So all of your logic and code gets kept in the back end. Now, obviously, that's not great for offline only applications, where you want the client to be able to do things while the user's not connected to the internet, and then sync data later and things of that nature. But if it's purely a website that's going to be used when someone is connected to the internet, it can be really nice, because you get to leverage all of the interactive development capabilities of a language like Scheme, and also my mind is rolling back to where I was in the stack. You leverage all the interactive coding capabilities of Scheme, and also get to generate all the parts of your HTML of your pages in Scheme, using Scheme backquoting expressions, which is, to me, is kind of nice. It's better that way. Like, you don't need a special templating language for HTML in Scheme, because Scheme is a templating language. Peter says, for disconnected apps, I like something like CouchDB, PouchDB for state management. Yeah, the thing is, though, I don't think that's going to work with something like Datastar, because Datastar expects that you're going to be making requests to the backend and getting either signal updates back or fragments of HTML pages. Let's see. Yes, let's look at the Hoot REPL repository. Is that up to date? Peter says, for disconnected apps, the front end needs to be essentially standalone. Correct. Yes, it needs to be standalone, oftentimes statically served somewhere on a CDN or something like that. Yes, Dave. Quasiquote, the universal template language. Yes, it's better. It is much better. It's arbitrary code. Hoot REPL with web UI demo. Hoot meta circular REPL demo. My other laptop keeps idling out. And that's the one where I'm watching the stream, so that's why you see me flipping back and forth. Wow, I've got my stream open on the other monitor too. Okay, at least it's muted. Great. Love SXML. Yes, J. Fred. Dave says, I'm working on a prototype for an offline first chat app using goblins. That would be pretty awesome. Let's check out this REPL demo. I may already have this repo cloned. All right, so, remove some debug prints. Okay, it's normal console logs. Hello, done. Love it whenever I leave things like that in, whenever I make commits. All right, so let's go back into the shell and drop down one level. Do I have? No. I don't have Hoot REPL. Okay, cool, good. All right, cd Hoot REPL. Is it the same process? Make and then make serve. Okay, cool. Geek shell m manifest.scm make. Dave says, prepare to be underwhelmed. It's very basic, but that REPL is embedded on the Hoot homepage. Yeah, so it's better if we can just build it here and then try to break it. But this is more like an interpreter, right? Inside of the browser, not so much like the other way around where you're interpreting on, or sorry, you're evaluating expressions on the host machine. Excuse me. And then having them compiled and sent over to the browser, which is fine. I mean, it even says here, metacircular REPL. So we're going to have an offline first Goblins chat app to compete with Matrix. Should call it Gobtrix. Don't let me choose the names, please. Address already in use. I don't think so. Did I not kill that process already? No. That's the one. Bye. There we go. 8088. Whoops. Oh, there it is. Okay, it loaded. Trajectory of all this is breathtaking. I mean, it's pretty cool, right? It's a toy that shows that the interpreter works. Well, I mean, that's pretty good, right? So, define Hoot X. Whoops. I pressed enter, and it did not do a read line type thing, which is fine. It makes sense. Define Hoot X. This is going to be really good. Let's see what happens. Display. I'm hooting. Oh, God, come on. Can I please press up to get history? I guess it doesn't work. Define Hoot X. I'm going to get it right this time. Display. I'm hooting. I guess I should probably put in the string. Format probably works, but whatever. Display X. New line. Hoot X. This is going to be terrible. This is not recommended scheming. Is it going to show up in the terminal? Or sorry, in the console? Yeah, I probably just hose my entire browser tab. Can I right click? No. This page is slowing down Firefox. It's because I wrote an infinite loop. At least it shows that tail recursion works. What we really want is a Geyser Hoot EL that can talk to a browser tab over a WebSocket. Yes. What would you be missing, though? Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be done. But the question is, let me get out of this white screen because I can see it on the other screen there and it's going to blind everybody. If it's only doing interpretation for now, you'd probably be missing a lot of things. Unless you can do the macro expansion phase first and then pass over the unevaluated or uncompiled final expressions to the browser. Unless you're really just going to have all the macros in the browser. I mean, I guess they're being compiled, right? The macros should work in the browser. Maybe? No? Yeah, Kites. If you're here. I see your name joining the channel. Maybe you're here, maybe you're not. It is you. Tab FS. What is this? omar.website/tabfs. Interpretation is step 1. Compilation, that will be something. Yes, it will be. I can imagine. Browser extension that mounts your browser tabs as a file system on your computer. Huh. Each of your open tabs is mapped to a folder. What can you do with that? That's kind of dope. Apply all the existing tools in your computer that know how to deal with files. All tabs like any of the... That's cool. Hoot supports auxiliary WASM modules. Yeah, anything you want compiled, you'd basically have to make a little mini WASM module for everything you compiled. I wonder how that would work. Would you just like recompile the WASM file for an individual module? And if it's an arbitrary expression, you would have to make a module for that using the REPL context, the REPL environment. TabFS is kind of a GNU herd translator. What? Text of all tabs to a file. Evaluate JavaScript on a page. Oh, that looks terrible. Retrieve what's playing on YouTube Music. Reload an extension when you edit its source code. Live edit a running web page. Edit page.html in the tab folder. Dave says, that's a tricky thing. For any arbitrary expression, you need to form a whole program that Hoot can compile. Yeah, exactly. You would have to have everything necessary for that one expression to evaluate correctly, and then you would have to load that up as a WASM module. And I don't even know how it would work. Like, let's say you wanted to replace an entire module that's already compiled and loaded. Like, how would that work? Would it be relinking somehow? I mean, your whole program would have to be compiled as separate WASM files for each module. And then the linking between the modules would have to be updated if you wanted to replace an existing module. I guess. I don't really know much about WebAssembly. The whole program compiler aspect of Hoot is very good for production deployment, but introduces complexity for development case. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's doable. I don't really think that's a bad thing necessarily. I think that if it's possible to somehow compile modules separately, even though it is whole program compilation, I guess it doesn't really work though, does it? Because whole program compilation assumes that you're able to know all of the symbols that are being used at any given time for like tree shaking and stuff. The kites, I did mention that. It's very exciting. All the Guile stuff being moved to Codeberg. I mentioned it at the very beginning of the stream. Yes, and thank you for spearheading that as well, because that's a pretty big thing. Pretty big deal. Hey, Ashraz. Dave says, if someone can get Sprightly another 250K, we can make some good progress on this. Now what you need, I'm very sorry to say, Dave and Christine, is you need to find some way to make people think that Sprightly has something to do with AI or AI agents or agentic coding so that you can get some funding to continue working on Hoot. So find some way to, milk the bubble before it bursts, because it's only a matter of time. And see if you can get any kind of, side funding somewhere. It's unfortunate, but sometimes these things need to be done. Imagine an agent that can write itself in Scheme. Travis says crypto VC to AI VC. I mean, basically that's where it's at now. Also make some companies use Sprightly. Yes. Well, that's harder, I think. That's harder to accomplish. Jfred says, I expect the bubble to burst sooner rather than later. Oh, yes. I think that its time has come. AI VC to Goblin. Goblin VC. That would be something, wouldn't it? Just checking. Trog accepts your kill. Are we playing, what is that from? Is that another NetHack thing? Or was that from the other game we played? Dave says, but seriously, if anyone knows an org that would fund our work, we're all ears. Stone Soup, yeah, that game was pretty cool, actually. I liked it. I have not played it again since then, though. Gobtrix. That's right, Gobtrix. See, I'm telling you, man. At first it sounded stupid, but now that name is really growing on me. Gobtrix. It's the replacement for Matrix, written in Goblins. Because why not? The technology is there. Why not? Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Anybody have any questions for Dave? Because I don't know anything. If you have any questions for Dave about the latest Hoot update, Dave's here to field them. I'll just be the person in the middle repeating them. Kites is saying that he might try to use it for freelance work. Yes, that'd be cool. Now that Safari is properly supported, then it would be much more likely to see Hoot being used in like an actual application that somebody would pay money to have written, I think. Now that you can have a website that works on all the major browsers and potentially mobile browsers as well. Because all you need is the code to run, because it's just calling the same APIs for everything else. Guy says, I do have a question. Bus Factor, how are you dealing with it? They need more money. You're specifically talking about Andy Wingo? Well, I mean, how are you going to have more than one Andy Wingo? I don't think that cloning has been successful yet. I think if you try to clone Andy Wingo right now, you might end up with one that doesn't know quite as much about garbage collection and compiler implementations. He might be able to tell you something if he could stop drooling for about 5 seconds. So yes, don't tell Andy Wingo I said that. That we would make a clone of him that would be drooling. Maybe he would find it funny anyway. Anything else? Anyway, I had fun playing around and trying to get things to build again. Trev says, I wish I was smart. I wish I was smart too. I just know how to talk. That's the only thing. I know how to talk and stumble around and gradually sometimes get things right in programs while people watch over my shoulder. Dave says, we actually had very little Andy time this year. You know, he's in high demand, so what can you do? Ashra says, have him note everything down, then we clone him via LLM. Well, I suppose that is a possibility, but not such a good one. Kites is working on Mess, try to read things from Guile and reading his stuff. Many things in Guile just in his brain. Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Adi says, I have fun too. First time seeing Hoot. Wow, cool. Elephant Ergo says, most of my work is in Python at the moment. I need some sort of FFI between Guile scheme and Python. You could do that. You can also run Python in Guile. I don't know which version of Python you can run, but the idea is that Guile is a compiler tower where it can have other language implementations that compile down to the same underlying intermediate language. Yeah, 2 point something. So it's not 3, but it's probably not even a good 2 point something, I would guess. Because who's worked on that? Has anybody actually touched that code in 20 years? 15 years? The JavaScript one either, or whatever else is in there? There's not really a big point to doing it, I guess. Like, why would you even bother at this point? It's Guile that looks like Python only, just worse Guile. Okay, good to know. Okay, folks, well, I think that's it for today. I hope that you all decide to try out the Autumn Lisp Game Jam that starts next Friday. That is the 31st of October, when you would normally be having strange people come to your house asking for candy, which, you know, for me is a regular occurrence because I live in a candy store. Sorry, I'm just making stuff up now. Yes, you should try to join the Autumn Lisp Game Jam 2025. Come to this itch.io webpage and click join jam before the jam starts, so that you are in on that. It's like I said, it starts in a week from today, and you should definitely try using Guile Hoot. If you go to the news post that's about Hoot 070, it references the template repository, so you can check out the template repository to get started very easily, because Dave already did all the work for you. All you got to do is just go make a game. Then you can publish that to itch.io. And as you saw, my old code from the game that I made a year ago still works. So if you write a game in Guile Hoot, it will probably continue to work over time. So it's a good investment. You know, you can write a game that people can play in a browser, and then the code will continue to work later on, which is good. All right, so I think that's it. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and until next time, happy hacking. See ya.